Well, looky there. Hi, it's Elliot Harrison and Marcus Mosher. It's the Power Rankings Show, aka the Power Rankings Podcast, and it's week 3 already. And maybe if you happen to be listening right at the beginning of the music, you might have heard me listening to a voicemail from my neighbor Lori, who borrowed my book, The Secret Language of Relationships. It's this astrology book where you like cross-reference your birthday with someone else's to see how you get along. So, Marcus, I'll be looking you up after the show.
That's very, very creepy, Elliot. But can I get this back into a football thing? Because I think that's
Sure.
what people are here to listen to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there you go. Monday Night Football this week, Packers and Lions. And I just want to say I really enjoyed the Peyton Manning, Eli Manning broadcast. I think for games where these are non-competitive games, you know, especially in the second half, this is exactly why we need them. But I want to get your thoughts on that. If you like the Eli Peyton broadcast. And the second question I have for you, what's your favorite Monday Night Football broadcast team of all time?
Oh, man. Well, first of all, I didn't watch the Peyton Eli broadcast. Is that bad?
I think there's a certain demographic they're going after for Monday Night Football. Like for this Eli Peyton thing, they want it to be a little silly. They want it to be fun. I think they want it to be like you're just hanging out in Peyton Manning's basement watching football. And I don't know if that appeals to you or not.
I like the idea of it. I mean, they both have good senses of humor, which I think is really important. They don't take themselves too seriously, at least not generally in the media context. I mean, you remember when Peyton Manning, after the Pro Bowl, said that our idiot kicker.
Liquor dog kicker?
Yeah, I loved that. And then definitely the commercial where he goes, Tommy, you're my favorite accountant. That was pretty good. But and I like the new Eli Manning. What is it? The sauce commercials that he does. Yeah. So they have the sense of humor for it. But I got to be honest. I don't mind the current Monday night announcing team. I don't know how most people feel about it. I think Brian Greasy's insightful. I like them as a team. I think the three of them have done pretty well. What do you think?
I think they're certainly better than the couple before that. I actually enjoyed them more than when John Gruden was there. But can I give you my favorite combination of all time?
Yeah.
It's early 2000s when it was on ABC, when it was Al Michaels and John Madden. That was my favorite. Only followed by when O.J. Simpson was on there. But that's a close second.
Man, and so for years they had Howard Cosell, Frank Gifford, and Don Meredith. Mm-hmm. And they were a legendary team. They really built Monday Night Football. Howard Cosell is this over-serious professional announcer. And then Don Meredith was kind of like the Mannings, a former quarterback with a great sense of humor, but probably even a better sense of humor than those guys. No disrespect to the Mannings. And then, of course, you had Frank Gifford. That's probably my favorite Monday night crew. But what did you remember the Dennis Miller?
I was just gonna say, do you remember the Dennis Miller one? Yeah, I certainly. That was like early 2000s, right? Do you remember the Tony Kornheiser one? I think that was 2008.
Oh yeah. So Dennis Miller, they actually did probably the most entertaining Monday night game ever, and I enjoyed the team on that game. It was Michael Spouts and Dennis Miller, and it was the Miami New York Jets game in 2000. When the Jets came back from like 4 scores down to win the game. It's incredible. But I'm still going with the classic. I'm going with Gifford, Meredith, and Cosell. They were around to 84, and then O.J. Simpson and Joe Namath were in the booth in 85, and that did not go well. So 86, they went to Al Michaels and Frank Gifford.
Can I tell you something I kind of think is underrated that was in the booth? I like Dan Fouts. I think he's pretty decent. Now, he's not my favorite, but he was fine when he was on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, I mean, Dan Fouts, I was worked with him on the Hall of Fame, and he's a good dude, and he was a great player. I've been trying to watch a 1986 game to go one game to go with every week of the season. So week one, the opener I chose, I watched Miami at San Diego, and Dan Fouts was the quarterback. And it was against Dan Marino. And dude, those guys could air it out, man. By the way, watching Dan Marino in like year 4, I don't know if anyone's been that kind of talent. Anyone. No. It's really a clinic, man. It's an absolute
except for clinic. Our guy Derek Carr, right?
Cowboy. Oh, here we go. Here we go. And it starts.
No. No thoughts on O.J. Simpson as a broadcaster? Just
I didn't really enjoy him that much. I mean, he was fine, I guess. But Gifford and Cosell and Meredith were such an institution. And also, I grew up in Dallas. Don Meredith is a former Cowboys quarterback, and he was very loved around Dallas, which is ironic because those same fans booed the crap out of him when he played.
Right.
But they were a great team. In '86, they did just Al Michaels and Frank Gifford, and that's it.
And that was fine.
Joined the next year. But yeah.
Elliot, should we get to picking some Week 3 games?
Absolutely.
All right. So our first game of the week, it's a Thursday night football game. So if you're listening to this show on Friday, you're going to get to hear Elliot and I talk about a game that already happened. But it's the Carolina Panthers taking on the Houston Texans. The Panthers are 8-point favorites in that contest.
Yeah, I mean, it's not surprising with Davis Mills at quarterback. And, you've talked about Houston being a veteran team. One thing that when you have a veteran team, Marcus, you can't afford an injury at quarterback because you're probably going to have some injuries elsewhere as well. We talked about this with Pittsburgh, right? Having so many starters at 30 years or older. This line is a little high. It
feels high for a team going on the road that's not all that proven. I know they're 2-0, but that's a monster line.
Yeah, I like Carolina outright. I don't know that I like the idea of betting on this game. And also, even though it's Thursday night, first of all, Thursday nights are very unpredictable. I know the last couple Thursday nights have had decent scoring. I don't see this having a high over-under.
I don't have the over-under. We'll pull it up. I believe it's like 41.5. It's pretty low.
That's really low. Wow.
Well, it's Davis Mills, though, Elliot.
Right.
So
I'd be inclined to stay away from this game.
Our gambling advice is you do not have to bet on every game. Just enjoy this slop fest and pick your games that you like better here in Week 3. Our next one, it's another really ugly game. The Arizona Cardinals are on the road to take on the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Cardinals are 7-point favorites in this game.
Again, that's a little rich in terms of the line. Obviously, I like the Cardinals going straight forward because, I mean, Trevor Lawrence has had a rough start to this year, and they don't have the pieces to mitigate if he doesn't play exceptionally well.
Right.
It's a little disappointing. I think people were excited about this new era Jags. I know their owner was over the moon about it. I believe he said it's a great time to be alive. I don't know how he feels after 0-2, Marcus. One thing I really like about what the Cardinals are doing is they're spreading the ball around on offense in their passing game. Kyler Murray had a humongous game, minus one really big mistake last week. And then I don't know if I mentioned this on our last pod, but Chandler Jones, he didn't have a sack, but he had 3 quarterback hits last week. So that dude's already getting after it. I love it.
I like Arizona here, but my question for you is, are you worried about Trevor Lawrence through 2 games? 4 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, pass rating of like 57. Are you nervous
Not
yet?
at all. Not at all. And, this is where when people ask questions like, well, why does NFL history matter? Like fantasy matters. Listen, I've seen so many quarterbacks struggle early. In fact, they used to hesitate to play rookie quarterbacks at all.
Just for this reason, right?
Yeah, right. Steve McNair sat on the bench for 2 years behind Chris Chandler. And, Chris Chandler was an effective quarterback, Marcus, but it's not like he was, an all-pro. Now they just throw him in right away. And you had asked me before, do you think the quarterback plays better than it's ever been? And I would say that I think quarterbacks are more ready to play than they've ever been, but because of certain guys' performances, the bar is way too high for these rookie passers. We've only played 2 weeks, man.
Yeah, I agree. Everybody knows that situation was awful. The offensive line was bad. It was a new offense for Trevor Lawrence.
They lost one of their running backs before the season even started.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Take a breath. They're fine. Trevor Lawrence is going to be just fine. All right, next game. The Baltimore Ravens on the road taking on the Detroit Lions. The Ravens are 7.5-point favorites. We've got some really good ones early on here, Elliot.
Yeah. I noticed you're not making me guess this week. Is it because they're bad, or is it because you got disappointed because I nailed almost every?
No, I'm gonna have you guess a couple of these in a little bit.
I'm just teasing. Let's see, Lions. This is tough, Marcus, because here's the thing: Baltimore is still super banged up.
That's exactly what it is.
And I thought Ronnie Stanley was a huge injury for them. Their tackle. He's not going to be ready to play. But the Lions have not looked good at all.
No. Well, I would take that back. I think they looked really good in the first half. Right?
I knew you were going to say the first half, but that doesn't count for anything.
No. And this is what we said on Tuesday. We said the Lions are the best good-bad team in the NFL. They can have drives where they look really competent, like they did on Monday night. They had 2 touchdown drives in that first half. I think they're decent enough to make this a little bit scary for Baltimore. I'm not picking the Ravens to lose, but I would not be surprised if, Elliot, there's 3 minutes left in the third quarter, and this is a 17-13 game where the Lions have the ball down by 4. You know what I mean? That would not shock me at all.
That wouldn't either, but I would still be inclined to take Baltimore here, even with that spread. Because
I think that's fair.
Jared Goff throws an interception in that exact situation, goes the other way, and it's 24-13.
It's just it's a line that we're probably staying away from if you're betting this week.
Interesting how much they've been throwing the ball to DeAndre Swift so far, too. I've told you.
Who else they got to throw to?
Right. Well, I thought that he would help kind of end the bad streak they've had with the running game, but I wasn't anticipating him having this many targets after 2 weeks. So
who's your favorite Lions running back from like 2005 to present?
Oh, of course you would ask me that. You wouldn't ask me of all time because that would be an easy answer.
No, I'm saying like from the last 2 decades.
Well, I worked with Reggie Bush, got along with him well. I thought the most effective was Javid Best, but he had injury problems that I liked all the different pronunciations of Michael LaShore.
Michael LaShore? Yeah.
So
that's a good one. I kind of like Joique Bell. Just very, very solid, right?
Yeah, good power back.
Could also do some stuff out of the backfield. I like Joique Bell. Nice player.
Number 35?
Yeah, it's an awful number for a running back, but he made it work.
Anderson wore 35 like a champ, bro. He was great in Super Tecmo Bowl.
Game that we both know very, very well.
Yes.
Our next game, Elliot, I have got a feeling this is the one you're going to be paying attention to.
Okay.
The Chargers, because you are a Justin Herbert fan, are 6.5-point underdogs to the Chiefs in Kansas City.
Well, Kansas City, as I've told you, have been dilly-dallying, and their run defense has had stiff challenges the first 2 weeks. It won't be as big a challenge this week. The Chargers have not used Austin Eckler like that. I think they've been careful with him, actually.
I think so, too. Yeah.
I'll say this, though. I could easily see the Chargers staying with them the whole game here. I would be inclined to take the Chargers here. Kansas City straight up, but I think the Chargers can cover that.
I think this is a very dangerous game for Patrick Mahomes because the secondary is not very good for the Chargers. We saw Dallas kind of move the ball up and down on him. But the way that they actually did that is through the ground, right? Like they just ran all over the Chargers. And Brandon Staley, the head coach there in Los Angeles, he basically dares you to stick with the run. He's going to put 5 guys in the box. Is Patrick Mahomes going to be patient enough to just check into a whole bunch of runs and give the ball to Clyde Edwards-Helaire after he fumbles the ball? In the biggest spot last week, I'm not so sure. I just think this is a dangerous, dangerous game for Mahomes.
Yeah, I thought CEH was a little nicked up too, if I'm not mistaken. But I think that's fair. And when I say dilly-dally, when you make 3 AFC championships in a row, right? Mm-hmm. They lost to the Patriots, they won the Super Bowl and lost the Super Bowl. It's very easy to just say, hey, we're going to show up. And when we show up, we're good enough. We can beat these guys when we decide to turn it on.
Because they do that. I mean, they
Right.
do it all
Well,
the time, right?
and again, growing up in Dallas, I'm familiar with it. Dallas won 3 out of 4. And in
Mm-hmm.
'95, their last Super Bowl season, they dilly-dallied all the time. They weren't as good as the team that lost the championship in '94. And then in '96, they found that it caught up to them. And the Patriots, you haven't seen that as much with their Super Bowl teams. But that's also a unique culture over there. As much as I love Andy Reid, I wouldn't say that's the Patriots culture there. It's a different culture. I'm with you on this. And by the way, Patrick Mahomes is still only in his 5th year.
Yeah.
He's not a veteran of 15 years. He does force some things at times. He did it against Baltimore the other night.
Yep. I think I'm still picking the Chiefs, but a game that I'm really interested to watch. All right, time for you to pick a spread. Are you ready?
Yeah.
The Washington football team, coming off 10 days rest, will be going to Buffalo to take on the Bills. What is the spread in this game?
Oof. Well, Buffalo's clearly going to be favored because if Vegas watched the Thursday night game, they saw that Washington escaped. Although Buffalo could have a little bit of a letdown after a huge win like that. But my guess here would be Buffalo I'm going to go by 7. I'm going to go a little high on the spread.
Not high enough, 7.5. And actually, Elliot, this line has moved quite a bit over the last couple of days. It started at 9, kind of creeped down to 8 over the last couple of days. Now it's at 7.5. So if you're betting on this game, make sure you're shopping for the best lines because I've seen them move all over the place. You like Washington in this game, don't you? Not against the spread. Against the spread, right?
Not to win it. This is probably one that I would avoid. I'm curious. I'd be way more curious about the over/under on this because
I got it. Go ahead and make your guess.
They can't have that much faith in Washington's offense after what we've seen, and Josh Allen still hasn't played well, so it can't be too high. I'm going to go 48 even.
46. So even less faith in Washington's offense. And actually, Buffalo's defense has been really good to start the year. Now, they gave up 23 to Pittsburgh, but remember, they actually gave up a block punt in that game. So I'm not great at math, but that's only, 16 points on offense, Elliot?
That was the biggest play of that game.
Biggest play.
Honestly.
And then 0 last week against the Dolphins, right?
Right.
So is this a game where Buffalo's front 7 can just dominate and take over? Maybe. But we saw the way that Buffalo lost in week 1 is because Pittsburgh's pass rush destroyed them. Is that what Washington's going to do in this game? I'm really curious.
Well, you would think that's what they would do, but if you watch the game against the Giants, the front 4 was not getting home. They did get pressure, but there were a lot of plays that they were not getting there, and so Washington had to blitz.
Yep.
And it was something they pointed out on the broadcast that, Troy Aikman was saying, now look, as great as this front 4 is, if they're not getting there, you can't just keep relying on the fact that, hey, we have maybe the best front 4 in football. We've got to give them some help. You got to give a lot of credit to the Giants' offensive line in that game. Now, I think Buffalo's offensive line is better than the Giants' offensive line.
I would agree. Yep.
But I also think Washington's front 4 can play a lot better than they have through 2 weeks.
Jonathan Allen had 2 sacks last week against the Giants. That's the guy that I'm curious to see if Buffalo can block because they couldn't handle Cam Hayward in week 1. If they can't block Jonathan Allen in this game, they're going to have a lot of problems on offense.
That's also a misnomer, man, because there are plays where the Giants were holding the ball too long.
Oh,
and
for
literally
sure.
where Washington.
But that's what Josh Allen does as well, right? He holds the
Yeah.
ball for a long time, and that's where you're going to get in trouble against this team.
Yeah, and Josh Allen's better than Daniel Jones is. I'm just saying that there were times that Daniel Jones was throwing from an absolutely immaculate pocket over and over again.
All right, our next game is the Indianapolis Colts taking on the Tennessee Titans.
Huge game.
Huge game, especially for the Colts. The Colts are 5-point underdogs in this game. Most sports books believe that Carson Wentz is not going to play in this game due to 2 different ankle sprains. Probably, Elliott, some combination of Jacob Eason or Brett Hundley. Doesn't inspire much confidence. What do you think?
Well, ditto. First of all, second, so I think Carson Wentz has like a high ankle sprain on his right ankle. He's got a low ankle sprain on his left. Generally, it's the high ankle sprain that's the real problematic one. Although it's kind of funny to me, the ankle is just the ankle, but we can have that kind of debate. let's start talking about Liz Frank injuries. I really
Oh no,
enjoy
don't
those
do that.
conversations.
Those are the
Yeah.
least fun injuries to talk about.
I believe the Liz Frank injury is named after a general who got hurt his foot getting off of his horse.
What about the
If I,
Jones fracture? That's another one that Cowboy fans know very well. The Jones fracture. That's where
the
you break
Jones
your
fra-
your it's where you break your last toe, and it requires like pins and needles. Dez got it in 2015. Different story, but
Oh,
we're getting off track.
it wasn't named after Felix Jones?
No, it was actually named after
No.
Julio Jones because he broke
Whatever
it
happened to naming injuries after Greek gods? You
like your
know?
Achilles.
Yes. Anyway, I'm done.
Should we have an
Okay.
injury named after you? Is that what you want? Is
No, after you. So here's the thing. With the 17 game schedule, is 0-2 is devastating as it was with the 16 game schedule? My guess would be no. I don't want to say 0-3 is the new 0-2 because I think 0-3 even in the 17 game schedule is worse than 0-2 in a 16 game. But it should be mentioned that maybe it's not as desperate as it used to be.
well,
Tennessee,
on top of
though,
that,
is
Elliot,
also
though,
only
really,
1-1.
really quickly, because you have 7 teams make the playoffs now, 0-2 is not a killer anymore, right? Like
Right,
you can get in
right.
playoffs at 9-8 because of that extra wild card spot. So obviously you don't want to start off in 0-3, but I think teams can bounce back from that more so than they used to be able to.
To me, what's more important for the Colts being 0-2, and then I'll get to my prediction here, is that both of those losses have been at home.
Yeah.
That's the problem. And this game is not at home. This game is in Nashville. I like Tennessee in this game. I don't know what the spread is, but I don't enjoy. It's always difficult when you don't have your usual players, particularly at quarterback, to make a prediction on what you think the outcome is going to be. That said, if it's Jacoby Eason, you got to think that the Titans could win by more than a touchdown.
Jacob
here.
Eason. You're thinking of Jacoby Brissett. Yeah.
Jacoby Brissett, who's in Miami, who we need to talk about him as well. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Jacob Eason playing. The other thing for Tennessee is it took a while to get Derrick Henry going, but in the second half against Seattle last week, they ran him and ran him and ran him some more. I think he ended up with over 180 yards rushing. Are the Colts going to be able to stop him? I don't know.
So if you had just one game to win in the playoffs, are you taking Derrick Henry over Christian McCaffrey?
Yes.
Yeah, me too. He's
Yes,
just such a
100%.
pain to tackle, right?
I'm going to take Jacoby Eason. Sorry.
I bet you the Colts will take that right now as well. So there you go. Our next game, it's Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears taking on the Cleveland Browns. The Bears are 6.5-point underdogs in this game.
They should be. Their offense didn't do anything with Justin Fields last week. Didn't really, hadn't really done much with Andy Dalton either. An encouraging sign for the Bears. They got after the quarterback last week. They got to Burrow 4 times. They're going to need to do that this week. They need to put some pressure on Baker Mayfield, but that's hard to do when you are focused on stopping the run. And with the Browns, it's a little bit old school, right? If you want to play that 5-6 man box against Cleveland, they're going to run on you all day. And if Baker Mayfield, Marcus finishes with 28 attempts or 24 pass attempts, they're just fine with that.
I will say Cleveland is in a tough spot here. When you're playing a rookie quarterback for the first time in extended action, you really don't know what to quite prepare for, right? Like, are they going to just run him? Are they going to be taking deep shots and only using play action? I still think the Browns are going to win, but it would not shock me if Chicago kind of throws the kitchen sink at Cleveland in this game, as they know they really need a win. Probably one I'm staying away from.
Right. One of the things that'll be difficult for the Browns is if you come in hard and heavy, you got to have some kind of lane integrity in your pass rush. Because if you don't, you know what Justin Fields is going to do. It's going to be one read and run. David Montgomery didn't really get going last week. The Bengals did a really nice job on him. The Bengals did a nice job in week 1 on Dalvin Cook, as a matter of fact. It'd be nice for the Bears if Montgomery could have a 25 carry, 110-yard game, don't you think?
Yes. I'm not sure they're going to get it, though. That offensive line is putrid. And the one thing that Cleveland really did this offseason, they invested in the defensive line. Malik McDowell is quite a story, by the way. 2017 second-round pick, was in an ATV accident. Doctors ruled that his career was going to be over. He took his first snap ever in the NFL in week 1 of this season. I saw that he's like Pro Football Focus's highest graded defensive tackle right now.
Wow.
Just a pretty incredible story.
That is, I just realized too, speaking on the injury front, Jarvis Landry is banged up.
Mm-hmm.
Odell Beckham hasn't been playing. If the Bears can stop the running game, then they have a legitimate chance in this game.
Oh, yeah,
how do you, I mean, I like Cleveland straight up. You said just avoid the spread altogether.
I like the Browns to win, so I would just pick them straight up.
Yeah.
Cleveland has so many other answers on offense, even if Odell is limited. Let's say he plays 20 snaps. I kind of like their other receivers, right? Like Donovan Peoples-Jones made a lot of plays last year. This Anthony Schwartz, who they kind of revealed in week 1. He's so fast. And then they have 18 million tight ends they can throw to. So
yeah.
They don't need big performances by the receivers to win games. So that's why I'm sticking with Cleveland here.
They just need Jacoby Eason to catch about 8 balls, and they'll be fine.
It's going to be a running joke on this show.
Yes.
All right, the next one, a game that I'm really interested in. The New Orleans Saints are 3-point underdogs against my New England Patriots, Elliot. I'm very high on the Patriots. Every week I try to move them up in our power rankings. I think they're going to be a playoff team. But if you are a playoff team, you got to win this game at home, right? You've got to take care of business in these type of games. How do you see this one playing out?
I like the Patriots in this game all the way. I do think it'll be a close game. This is a really important who are you game.
Exactly.
For both teams. Obviously, New Orleans, we saw the huge win at Green Bay when Jameis Winston threw 5 touchdowns. And then everything that went right in week 1 went wrong in week 2. Carolina dominated that game. The thing here is you're going on the road. You're in New England, and New England's not going to give you any help. They're not going to make stupid mistakes. Their defense is going to be a top 5 unit. And the way they're using Mac Jones, he's not going to be taking a lot of risky, throws down the field. There's not going to be a lot of post routes and a lot of deep outs. I like the Patriots in this game. And I also think that this would be a lower over-under game.
If you're a big X and O's nerd, I'm really curious to see what Belichick does in this game. Like, who does he take away for the Saints? Because he does this in every game. Like, he either tries to take away your best weapon or he tries to take away everybody else, right? Is he going to try to take away Alvin Kamara? Is he going to blitz Jameis? Is he going to try to make Jameis throw balls down the field in New England? I'm just really interested to see his game plan here.
Well, I think you take away Kamara because you look at what Carolina was able to do last week. They shut him down, completely shut him down. Make Jameis beat you. Even against Green Bay, Jameis Winston threw 5 touchdowns, or was it 4? I can't remember. It was 4
5 touchdowns. 5, yeah.
But it's not like it was a high volume day for him. That was an entire team win. I think you shut down Kamara. I think you play the box. And I don't think that you look at Jameis Winston as your primary threat.
I kind of agree with you on that one. I'm taking the Patriots here. Our next game, it's another 1 o'clock game. It is the Cincinnati Bengals going to Pittsburgh. The Bengals are 3-point underdogs in this game. Elliot, I will say this game opened up at 5.5. The Bengals were 5.5-point underdogs. Has since moved down to 3. A lot of action on Cincinnati here. Do you agree with that?
I do agree with that. 5.5, I would have been all over the Bengals. 3, that is a tough line. That's a really tough line because that's probably what this is going to be. I do like Pittsburgh in this game simply because I feel like Pittsburgh's back is a little bit against the wall. I know that's unusual to say for a 1-1 team, but doesn't it just feel like things are slowly coming apart there? Maybe I'm mistaken, but it just feels like there's not a lot of confidence around that team. T.J. Watt being hurt certainly contributes to that. Ben Roethlisberger being vocal contributes to that. The way the offense played against the Raiders and really against the Bills as well contributes to that. I still like the Steelers defense, but this team has a lot of injuries, Marcus. The Bengals did a great job, I said, against Dalvin Cook, and they did it again against Montgomery. So I don't think the Steelers are going to get much running game going there. It's going to be up to Ben Roethlisberger to get the ball down the field. Are they going to be able to do that?
I believe since week 13 of last year, the Steelers are averaging like 16 points per game on offense. It's pretty awful. Ben Roethlisberger has not played well. We're already hearing some injury excuses coming from Roethlisberger. Now he's got a sore left pec that he said in a press conference that he's just going to have to deal with the pain. By the way, just I'm just telling you guys, this happens every year. Roethlisberger plays bad, a mysterious injury pops up, and then he's fine. Just
Well,
don't
when you
take
do
the
the
bait.
shake weight, Marcus, it's very difficult to strain something. And I think you need to consider that.
Uh, he's just old, and this is what he's done his entire career. He learned it from Terry Bradshaw, right? He learned hey, I'm never 100%, so you guys gotta lay off me a little bit.
Give me
But
your Marcus Mosher fantasy assessment of Pittsburgh's running backs. I'm curious.
this is the time to buy because Najee Harris has played like 98% of the snaps
Mm-hmm.
for the Steelers. It's going to get better, right? They're going to find ways to get him
You
to be
think?
more effective. Yes, this is the
You
absolute
think?
time to buy Najee Harris. Yes.
Okay.
I know
We'll
it's been
see.
ugly. It's been terrible the first 2 weeks, but the volume is going to be there. I just think it's a good time to buy.
Do you believe me now that the Bengals are a little bit better than people thought? Just a little bit?
On defense, yes.
Yes.
Offense still really is concerning for me because Burrow looks so bad. 3 straight interceptions on 3 straight throws.
Yeah.
Little worried. I'm taking Pittsburgh there. The next game, it's an 0-2 battle between the Atlanta Falcons and the New York Giants. The Giants are 3-point favorites in this game.
I don't think anyone really expected Atlanta to do anything in this game. In this season, rather. The Giants, there were some people that thought they could be the sneaky team in the NFC East. So if you use that as your like prism to jump off of here, or to I'm probably mixing metaphors. I'm really good at that. Very good. I would say that this is a huge game for the Giants because this is a team that if you're going to compete, even in the weak NFC East, you've got to take care of these guys. You're at home and you didn't close the door last week. And you could say whatever you want about the field goal. It shouldn't have come down to that, right? Darius Slayton's got to catch that ball in the end zone, Marcus. There were tons of missed opportunities for the Giants last Thursday. Not only that, they're coming off 10 days rest. So in my mind, the Giants have to win this game. I think they will win this game. What'd you say the spread was? 3?
3. Yep.
Yeah, I like the Giants here.
I like the Giants as well. The Falcons just can't block anybody. I do think the Giants pass rush is pretty decent. Like, we don't talk about it enough. They also have some really good corners, and Russell Gage is out this week for the Falcons. So James Bradbury on Calvin Ridley, I like that matchup quite a bit for the Giants. So
Well, McLaurin did pretty well on him, but McLaurin's a different kind of player than Calvin Ridley. Maybe that really speaks to McLaurin. That maybe
McLaurin's
he's
really
underrated in the national eyes, so to speak. But getting back to the Giants here, what do you think of Saquon so far? He had a big run against Washington, but not a lot else. Are you feeling good about him right now? Like if you were in your fantasy league and you drafted Saquon, what, 3rd or 4th overall or 5th overall? How are you feeling about it?
not great because I'm starting to get concerned, Elliot, that we're never going to see the 2018 version of Saquon where he totaled 2,200 yards in that season. I believe in his last 16 games, he's just at 1,000 rushing yards. And it's pretty clear he just doesn't have the same burst in athleticism. And it makes sense. He's had a bunch of little injuries on top of a major knee injury. So I think this is probably somebody I'm selling because I don't see that offensive line getting better. They've already lost 2 interior guys for the season. I just don't see it happening this year for Saquon.
Yeah, I don't want to spin it too far fantasy here, but I would just say that there seemed to be 2 different people that were drafting him. People that thought, man, I'm not going to draft that guy until the late 1st round or 2nd round because they were concerned about him. And then other people that were gung-ho about him. To me, it's really about all the other things, isn't it? Like, if you're a defensive coordinator, are you worried about the Giants outside? Are you worried about? I know Sterling Shepard's had a nice start to his season, and then the Giants' offensive line isn't very good. So I think it's more than just Saquon.
Our next game, Elliot, is the Miami Dolphins, and that's your Jacoby Brissett, by the way.
Jacob Brissett. Yes.
Jacob Brissett.
Big fan of Jacob Brissett. Yes.
Starting in place of Tua Tagovailoa, 4.5-point underdogs against the Las Vegas Raiders.
Well, this could be ugly for the Raiders. I could see them totally flopping after the great start they have, but I'm not going to go. I'm going to put faith in this team, and I am picking the Raiders to not only win, but I think they win by a touchdown.
I was going to say, if you bailed on your guy Derek Carr now, we would never hear the end of it. That's 2 Derek Carr references today. I agree with you. The Raiders should win this game. Miami's offense has scored 17 points first 2 weeks of the season. the Raiders are in a good spot here.
Well, the problem I think with Miami is that Jacoby Brissett played plenty last week, and they did nothing.
Nothing.
They did nothing. So what was the score of that game? 35-0.
35-0, and Brissett's not the most mobile guy in the world, and that offensive line is they're in rough shape. So
that's funny because he speaks very highly of your work.
Thanks, Jacoby Jacob Brissett. All right, the next one. Poor Jacoby. He's never going to listen to this show again. The New York Jets are 10.5-point underdogs against the Denver Broncos. How many minutes of this game are you going to watch?
I will try. I would say that I'm impressed with the Broncos defense so far, but Chubb is hurt, which has been an issue, right, for them. And they haven't really had stiff competition either. What I like for them is this is a home opener, right? Didn't they play in Jacksonville and they played at New York?
Yep.
So they're one of those teams in week 3 that's finally getting to play in front of a crowd, their crowd. I'd stay away from this line. It's too way big. Too high. The over under should be low on this game.
Go ahead. I got it. Give me your guess.
So I would say my first thought was like 45 and a half, and I thought, no, that's too high. I'm going to go 42 and a half on this.
42. You're pretty good at this. Not bad. Not bad at all.
But I like the Broncos in this game at home.
I do as well. I am actually not afraid of that total or the total either. I would take the under on that. I think the best game of the week, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Los Angeles Rams. Would you like to guess this line?
I'm glad that you think that this is the best. Oh, what a great take there. I think.
Well, there's some good games though.
I think the two best teams in the league playing each other might be the best game.
Yeah, Chargers Chiefs is a good one too. Just throwing that out there.
That's true. I'm being mean. I already forgot the question. I was too busy.
What's the line? What's the line in this game?
What's the line on this game? Okay. When I'm stalling for time, I just repeat the question. It's a great trick. Try it at home, kids. Oof. Golly. I still think the Bucs are favored. And I'm going to take the Bucs by 3.
It is Tampa Bay -1.5. This is a low spread. So,
yes.
So typically they give 3 points to the home team, which means that Vegas believes the Bucs are somewhere between like 4 to 5 points, favorites if this game is in Tampa Bay. It's very interesting, Elliot, because no Antonio Brown this week due to COVID. Jason Pierre-Paul is not going to play this week. The Buccaneers secondary can be exposed a little bit.
Yes.
Listen, if you think Matt Stafford is going to win the MVP this year, like I do, I've got several Matt Stafford bets that I'm hoping hit. You need to play well in this game. This is your chance. I kind of like the Rams.
You like the Rams outright to win this game?
And yes, I do.
I don't. I like Tampa Bay. You were very high on Tryon, were you not, going into the draft?
I want to say he's a very good player, but he's still a rookie defensive end. And
I was just asking a question.
Yeah, I know what you're getting at. You're like, these defensive ends don't matter, blah, 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 blah.
No. I wasn't going to say that. I was just saying that this is one of the few teams in the NFL that actually has a little bit of pass rush on its bench. Right?
I will say though, this is it's a tough matchup for a young defensive end because the Rams use so much motion and play action. They're going to confuse these guys like crazy. I just think it's going to be a fascinating game. I'm excited to see it.
I wouldn't want him on Whitworth. That's for sure.
Probably won't be
a veteran like that, right? Exactly.
No,
I'm just saying. Right. I like Tampa Bay to win this game outright. So, and that spread is so small, obviously. I like Tampa Bay by a field goal. I think this is going to be a really close game. We might be a little high on the Rams. I think they're good. But, they played the Bears week 1. They played a Colts team that has been struggling, and then Carson Wentz got hurt, and that was a very, very close game. I just think I'm partially having self-dialogue here that I may be too high on them. We'll see.
This is going to be just fascinating to see what Sean McVay tries to do to this Tampa Bay defense. Because
just out of curiosity, what's the over-under on it?
I believe it's pretty high. I've got it right here. It is 55.
55. Sorry, I interrupted your thought. Please continue.
Sean McVay, good. Matt Stafford, good. They're going to win the game. There you go. There's my expert analysis right there.
Your thought?
All right. Next game. And this, I'll tell you what, this is a line that does not make sense to me at all.
Okay.
It's the Seattle Seahawks against the Minnesota Vikings, and the Seahawks are only 1.5-point favorites on the road in this game. I think Seattle should be 4.5 to 5-point favorites in this one. I know they lost last week, and that was a bad loss at home. I just think they're the far better team, and I don't trust Minnesota at all on defense. Not at all.
Here's your problem. And I said this to you with Baltimore last week. You're talking about a desperate football team here. Okay. They're 0-2. Now, the good news for Minnesota, you already pointed out, 7 playoff teams. Every team in the NFC North is either 0-2 or 1-1. Mm-hmm. But other than the Vikings, obviously, the Vikings are 0-2 as well. So what I'm getting at here is they're not already 2 games behind. That's the good news.
But well, could I say this about Seattle, though? Seattle is in a division where nobody's lost yet, except for them.
Right. I was getting there.
Okay, go ahead.
The thing about Seattle, though, is that San Francisco looks really good. The Rams look really good, although I think the Rams are going to get a loss this week. Marcus, when you have a team like Minnesota, you have I don't think Mike Zimmer is the kind of guy that's going to allow for a letdown here. You said the line was 3 on this?
1.5. It's Seattle 1.5.
Oh, man, this is a tough pick, straight up.
Can I give you another reason why I like Seattle here, especially with that line?
Sure.
Do you trust Minnesota's kickers against Seattle at all, after all the things that have happened in their past?
Huh. You mean like the 2015 divisional round, Blair Walsh?
Exactly. Yes, exactly. I don't trust 2 phases of the Vikings game, right? And I like Kirk Cousins too, but he's the best thing that this team has going for them. I don't know. I can't take the Vikings here.
I'm going to go with you on this out of respect, out of pure respect. But I'm really hesitant on this. I'm really hesitant. I watched every play pretty much of the second half and overtime against Tennessee, and Seattle did not look good late in that game. But I'm gonna defer to you on this and hope that Dalvin Cook does not run for a $195.
I hope so as well.
He's banged up though.
He is a little banged up. Their running game will still be fine. Our Sunday night football, Elliot, and my lock of the week. I wish we had like some cool sound or buzzers that would go off when I give you my lock of the week. But it's the Green Bay Packers traveling to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. Would you like to guess the line? Okay.
I think I already know where you're going with this, but I'm going to say that I'm going to have. Oh man, this could almost. I'm going to go San Francisco by 3.
It is San Francisco by 3. And anytime I can get Aaron Rodgers at 3 points or more as an underdog, I'm taking it. Now, I know the history of Aaron Rodgers and the 49ers. He's really struggled against this team over the last couple of years. But that secondary isn't the same as it's been. They've got Josh Norman as one of their starting cornerbacks. Jason Verrett's out. This just feels like a big-time stage for Rodgers to show that he's the best quarterback in the league. I think they win, and I actually kind of think they win with ease. I don't like what I've seen from Jimmy Garoppolo in the first 2 weeks, so I'm taking the Packers.
Yeah, he doesn't have the best history there. Obviously, they lost the 2019 NFC Championship, got run all over in that game, and then 2013 was that freezing cold game at Lambeau. San Francisco won on the road. And Jim Harbaugh said that Michael Crabtree was the best pass catcher in the NFL. Remember that? Mm-hmm. And 2012 was the Colin Kaepernick just running wild game.
Well, they also 2019 regular season game where they lost in San Francisco 37-8, and that was one of Rodgers' worst game ever.
I like the 49ers a lot. Obviously, I have them 3rd in my power rankings. If you didn't catch that podcast, shameless plug. We do it on Tuesdays around 12 noon. You can look on Spotify or iTunes, and I'll stop talking now. I'm going to go with San Francisco at home. I'm going to have them cover. I say San Francisco by 3.
We need
which would be a push.
We need to make a little bet here, Elliot. What kind of bet do you want to have here? Because I think the Packers are going to crush them.
Okay. Here's the bet I will make. If I win, you have to take down one of the jerseys you have, and it's not the first 2.
Oh no!
Behind
All right,
you.
Deal.
Yeah, I'll let you. I want you to take down.
Yeah, I'll let you pick the other what jersey goes up in its place. It might even be a running back that we can put there.
Yeah, that's important. That's important. If you win, I will I'll get you a nice lavender or purple t-shirt, kind of like the one I'm wearing right
Perfect.
now.
I like it.
I bet
Will
you
you
don't have a lavender
will
shirt
you
in
will
your
you
collection.
autograph it like for me, and we'll do like a jersey swap, like the players
No,
do after the game?
no, I'll find some mediocre fifth round running back to sign it because
Perfect. I
that's
love it.
really what you're into. Yes.
Uh,
Okay.
our last game, the Monday Night Football game. We started talking about Monday Night Football at the top of the show. Philadelphia Eagles are 3.5-point underdogs to the Dallas Cowboys in this game. I like Philadelphia. Who do you got?
I do too. I like Philadelphia to cover that. Straight up in this game, I actually like Dallas. So that's how I would go. I think Dallas wins that game by a point. Maybe how about a very unusual, how about 30-28?
Feels about right for a Cowboy Eagle game. It's going to be a high scoring
Yeah.
game. Dallas is going to be without several defensive guys once again.
What's the over
Philadelphia's,
under?
I believe it's one of the highest of the week. It's 52.5.
Ooh, is that too high for you?
No. I think the Eagles are going to put up a lot of points in this game.
That's the second time I've interrupted you with my persistent over under queries.
That's all right.
I apologize, but you said you thought it was going to be a high scoring game.
I think like 35-31 feels about right.
Wow. I don't know if Philadelphia could put that many points on the board if you've seen their offense, but we'll
I've
see.
seen Dallas' defense, though.
Yeah, I know you have. So you like Philadelphia outright in this game?
I do. I just think that their offensive line's playing really well. They've got a pass rush, even with Brandon Graham being out for the year with an Achilles injury. There's your Greek mythology reference. I don't know. I think Philadelphia is going to be in a good spot here. Just a gut call.
Okay.
That's it. That's all of our games.
I thought you were going to come up with something else. I thought you had something up your sleeve. You looked like you had something that you were going to throw out at me, some random football story about how running backs don't matter. No.
Who's the best example of a running back not mattering in the NFL? Is it Cordero Patterson right now? A wide receiver that got changed into a running back this year and is out producing first round picks at running back? Is that the best example?
That is a pretty good one. And I tell you what, last week, boy, was your theory proven correct. Because if you saw what Alvin Kamara did against Carolina, I mentioned Montgomery didn't really get going against Cincinnati. You would have thought at home that would have been a game. You see Pittsburgh's offense right now. I have to tell you, I think you're on to something there. You really are. The Cowboys are actually a good point because there are a lot of people out there that keep underscoring Tony Pollard's play. And I know what they're saying when they do that.
Also, Austin Eckler. Not a bad undrafted free agent running back, right?
You're right, Austin Eckler. And they're not even using him the way that they could. No. And then Antonio Gibson's a converted wide receiver. And he's turned out to be a good back. And then we talked about Saquon Barkley. One guy we haven't talked about at all is Miles Sanders. You know, if the Eagles, you know, with Jalen Hurts, if they could get something going with their running game, that could really help that football team. Because I know you feel like I do when announcers say, you know, the best thing a young quarterback needs is a good tight end. No, you need running game, offensive line, and defense, and then maybe a good tight end.
Yes, so. Offensive line more than anything. Protect your young quarterback. Give him time to throw. Most of those guys will be okay if you can do that.
All right, well, I think that's about it for us. I appreciate you listening, and we do this every Thursday around 12 o'clock Pacific. We do the power rankings on Tuesday, and then usually on Friday we will do a kind of a look back at the Thursday night game. And considering this Thursday night game is one of the greatest games of all time in NFL history, we'll be sure to have some great reaction. I know Marcus is really excited about that. So put a cinnamon roll, a really bad one that's been in your fridge, in the microwave, and listen to us on Friday. See you.